Hey guys, welcome back. Getting into Hawaii in my book and stuff. Little recap. God has done some amazing things with me over the years, some miracle working things. And I'm just a regular dude. There's nothing special about me. I don't look at myself and go, oh man, I'm so this or I'm so that. And I don't feel, even doing these videos, it's kind of weird for me. It's not my style. I love people, I love talking. That's kind of my gift, is just being real with people. But one of the things that really affects me is I spent the majority of my life sacrificing for God. So I told you in the other videos, I had companies. I bought my first company at 23 or 24 years old. I'd just gotten married, and I had a ton of stuff going on in my life at the time. And I bought my first business. God challenged me. We grew, business flourished, everything went great. But I was focused on my ministry, you guys. And there's something, some people are called to be money makers. They make millions of dollars and they give to ministry. Other people, and that's okay, and other people are called to be the ones being supported, and that's okay too, because not everybody's called to do the same thing. But there is people out there that God has literally blessed them with millions and millions of dollars to be able to bless the kingdom, to see God work. But they're not ministers, they're providers. And if you're called to be a provider, it's an amazing, it's a huge blessing. But if you're called to be an evangelist, or you're out there and you're doing the ministry stuff, it can be frustrating because you never know where money's coming from. You never know where things are, but you get so blessed by serving. So a servant's heart, you're not as much going to be worried about the money, okay? You're going to be worried about the ministry. And that's where I was with going to Hawaii. So basically moving from Laverne, where my wife and I were kind of raised for a season, and things broke up there. All hell broke loose, to be honest, there. And, we ended up moving to San Clemente. We built a community there with our surfing ministry over the next couple years. And then God would say, okay, now you're going to Hawaii. And so we'd end up packing up and going to Hawaii. And in one of the other videos, I talked about it. Some stuff was going on, like crazy stuff that doesn't seem believable, but it was. And there's hundreds of people out there that witnessed it. So there's no questions that it was real. But God started stirring my life up to get me to do something. So now at this point, I'm in Hawaii. I'm kind of bitter. It started off, and to be honest, when it started off, I thought it was going to be so cool. And, I didn't really want to go because I didn't want to leave my family. But my in-laws, my sister-in-law, my brother, my nephews, and nieces, and just everybody that was there, we didn't have anybody in Hawaii. But it was very clear that God wanted us there. He opened doors for us to get there. He provided for us to get there. We got there, and then again, all hell broke loose. The bottom fell out. And here I am, I'm in the islands. I can't find work, can't get people to hire me. I'm working as a handyman, just doing roof repair, whatever I could do to pay my bills. And to be honest, for the first 3 years, I battled with God. And even though he was doing crazy miracles, and I had people supporting me that I never asked for money. And all of a sudden, people are giving me money that knew my ministry in California. And they're making sure that I'm okay. Like God's putting it on their hearts. So here I am, I'm in Hawaii. The first week, I meet some really heavy dudes that most white people are afraid of. Rightfully so. And in the last video, I talked about it. I talked about getting there and having the biker gang over there. And basically in the first year, the biker gang, big biker club over there, I hate to say gang, but the motorcycle club, what would end up happening is I would befriend some of these guys, feeding their kids every weekend. I'd go down to the beach with my wife and my kids, and we'd feed whoever needed food. at Kalia Beach every weekend. And rain or shine, we were down there. And it's crazy how God would, just through food, something as basic as food. But I mean, I had drug dealers. I had one guy was an atheist, and he's passed away, super nice guy. But he'd tell everybody, I'm an atheist. And as time went on, I would notice him moving closer and closer to my truck where the food was, closer and closer to my truck where he could sit on the back. I'd leave the tailgate down for guys that didn't want to come under our tent. And he would sit there and he would listen to what my Bible studies were and the way I was teaching and stuff. And he told one of the girls that he knew really well that was part of my group, and he told her, if Joe ever started a church, I would go. And this is an atheist guy, but the reason in that is because, I would leave my tailgate down, he'd sit on the back of my truck and drink a beer. That's not judgment on me, you guys. Like, we put so much in stuff, but to be able to go in and break through barriers that so many people have put up in their lives, and to go in and be able to be a light in somebody's life, and to be able to be that person that doesn't matter what they're doing, doesn't matter what their sin is, it doesn't affect us in a way that we need to worry about it. And that would be the reality for me, is God would start showing me, Joe, it doesn't matter who these people are. It doesn't matter if they're movie stars. And I got a lot of movie stars that God brought into my life because it was Kauai and people came over there. And, I would meet this one lady, if you guys ever wonder what that picture is down there. And this particular friend of mine was a movie star. And her husband disappeared one day, and her story is just heartbreaking. And I think if you look it up, it's The Rider with No Hands is her husband's story. And she was happily married, loving her life. She was doing really well. Husband was a screenwriter, and disappeared on his way home one day from a trip that he took to go, I guess, check out sites for filming or something. I don't know how that works. But he would disappear, completely gone. And one of the things is, I would get to know this lady for years and years and years. And a lot of people would have issues with our relationship because, she's a liberal, she's very, it's not about church, it's not about God for her, it's about people's rights. And, she supported abortion, and obviously as a Christian, I wouldn't normally in any situation support that. And she supported these different clinics and different places, and we would talk, but the difference was I had my belief and she had her belief, and we talked about each other's stuff. So I got to understand the hurts that these people go through, the hurts that women go through, that, I know abortion's a very touchy subject with a lot of people, but I know a lot of women who have had abortions. Being that I was born in 68, it was just kind of getting going, and a lot of women at that time, it was an embarrassment to be pregnant out of wedlock, and they started doing the abortion thing, and a lot of those women have been messed up their whole lives. And so here I am, I'm talking to this lady. She's got a beautiful daughter that's an actress now, and just beautiful, beautiful people. And I'd go over there and I'd just hang out with her, and she was getting ready to move, and she was kind of getting closure on her husband never coming back, like disappearing. They said that he died, but they never found his body. And so she's going through all this stuff, and she's trying to figure out where this guy that she was so madly in love went. Where did this guy go? And why? Why is he gone? And basically what would end up happening is, through our friendship, it would become something where when she needed somebody, she would call me. and I would give her the truth. She would give me the truth. We didn't play this game because we were both transparent, and her boyfriend was a surfer from long time ago, martial artist and everything. We had a lot in common as far as personality stuff goes, but he's just a really super cool guy, and he supported her, and he loved her, and as far as I know, still does. They're still together, still traveling and stuff. But God would put me in situations that weren't comfortable. Okay, as a Christian, it's really hard to get in a debate or a conversation about abortion and how somebody can think it's right. But God would start showing me it's not about my opinion or my position in the world. What God was using me for was to minister to people that were hurting. Okay, so I can't take that hurt and go, well, you're hurt because you did this, or you're hurt because you did that. Okay, I had a friend that murdered some people, did his time, 21 years. I met him when he got out. He wasn't my friend before. So I didn't know the murderer. I knew the reconditioned guy that came out into the world, and he would be shoveling dirt one day in Hawaii, and huge dude, arms as big as my legs, seeing tattoos up to his ears, down to his fingernails, sketchy looking dude. And he's out there, got his shirt off, and he's just shoveling dirt. He's just pouring sweat. I walk by, hey man, what's up? I'm going into the job site to meet the guy that I'm working for. And when I come back out, I grab a water bottle for this guy, and I just set it on the wall. I didn't say anything, and I just walked in the house or in the building. And I come back out, and the guy takes the water bottle and throws it across the parking lot and goes, freaking Hallie, I don't need anything from you. I was like, dude, it's just a water, man. So I go back to my truck, and me being me, I pick the one up that he threw across the parking lot, throw it in my truck, and I grab another one. And I walk that other one over, and I set it right next to him, and he looks at me, and he's like, got a look in his eyes like he's gonna kill me. Like, this was a scary looking dude. It's hard to scare me, but this dude was scary looking. And he was just built like a little gorilla, man, just solid muscle, ripped, as wide as he was tall. And all of a sudden, I set this water down. He's like, you don't get the message, man, I can freaking kill you. And he's like doing all this stuff. And I said, whoa, bro. I go, whoa. I go, man, I'm not trying to offend you by any means. I go, dude, it's just a water. You don't owe me nothing. I don't need anything. I don't need your land. I don't need your women. I got my own. I'm like, dude, it's just a water, bro. It's harmless. It's hot. It's humid. You're sweating like crazy. It's just a water. And he looks at me and starts laughing. And I'm like, what's so funny, dude? What are you laughing at? Like, why is this funny to you? And he goes, you one of them Christian guys? I go, yeah, but what's that got to do with anything? And he goes, bro, you guys are freaking crazy. He goes, look at me. He goes, I just got out of prison. He goes, I just got here a week ago from Texas where I was for 20 years. He goes, in jail, people are afraid of me. In jail, people are, I've killed people in prison, and I've done this and I've done that. He was real verbal about what he did. Because he was out, he was free, he did his time, he was fixed. And he goes, he's got the tattoos down his face, and he goes, here I am, yelling at you, screaming at you, and you're just standing there smiling. He goes, what the heck is wrong with you, dude? He goes, there's only two kinds of people that can handle that. Just psychotically crazy people or Christians. You're the only people I've ever seen sit there when somebody's threatening to kill them and smile at them. He goes, what the heck is wrong with you people? And I started laughing. I go, bro, it's just a water, man. I go, I'm here to work. I'm new to the island. It's stinking humid and miserable. I go, I just wanted to give you water, dude. He goes, you know what, Hallie, what's your name? And we introduced each other and to ourselves and stuff. And he goes, hey, I'm going to take you to my secret spot tomorrow. I'm like, good, now the guy is gonna kill me. He's gonna take me out in the water, we're gonna paddle out, he's gonna stink and feed me to his Uncle Shark guy. So I'm like, that's it, you know, I've done it now. But I'm like, yeah, sure, where you wanna go? And he goes, well, I'm gonna take you to my secret spot. I like you, Hallie. I'm gonna share my secret spot with you tomorrow. And you gotta understand the North Shore at that time, that particular week, we had a swell come in. It was probably, you know, like pine trees, Honolulu Bay, all that. It was probably breaking 6 to 8 foot, you know, barreling, nice little waves, not anything too crazy. So there's a lot of people in the water. But during those North Shore swells, it's hard to find places, especially at lunchtime. But he goes, okay, we're Pauhana at 12 o'clock tomorrow. We'll go surf. Okay, so I get in my car, leave, come back the next day, got my longboard with me. I'm a little nervous to surf with this dude, but I have no excuse. We're working on the same job. I can't tell him I can't. So we get done, we get in the cars, he goes, okay, follow me. So I follow him, we go up to the North Shore, and we pull into a place called Pine Trees, which is pretty well known. It's where everybody goes, all the tourists and stuff. And I'm in the parking lot, and I'm thinking, what's he just checking the surf? What's he doing? And he gets out, starts grabbing his board, and I'm like, bro, this guy's secret spot is Pine Trees, the busiest beach in the stinking world. And he looks at me and goes, come on, Ellie, let's go. And I look in the water, there's gotta be 100 dudes in the water. And I'm like, all the shortboarder guys, and we're longboarders, so I'm like, dude, we're never gonna get a wave. These guys are gonna be cutting me off all day. I just didn't wanna do it that day. And I go, bro. He goes, oh, sorry. He goes, I'll be right back. He goes, just get your suit on, let's get ready to go. You know, you get your board down, get your leash waxed. He goes, just get ready to go. We're here, we're gonna surf. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I'm kind of hesitant, but I get my board down, I wax it up real good and everything. And I'm just sitting there going, dude, I don't want to surf right now. I don't want to surf this place. One, it's not really good enough to battle with people for every single wave. And it was barreling, so these dudes are all out there trying to get barreled, so they're gonna drop in on me and stuff, and I'm on a longboard, which is great, you know, I can catch the wave early, but it just I wasn't in the mood, you know, to battle with people. I was still trying to figure this dude's trip out, like, what's this guy's game plan? He walks down on the beach, okay, with his surfboard, puts his surfboard down, and he walks down on the beach and he goes, whistles one time, that's it, one time, and all of a sudden everybody looking at him, and he goes like this. Everybody in the water got out, not one person stayed in the water. And he goes, and he looks over at me and goes, okay, Allie, we're here. He goes, now we can surf. And I'm like, dude, this guy's gonna get me killed. I'm a white dude, I don't have any authority, you know. But everybody left the water, and they're sitting on the beach on a perfect day where it's barreling and there's not one dude in the water. So I grab my board, we go out and we surf for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just perfect barreling waves, nose rides all day long. Best day of surf I had in a long time, especially there, because usually when it's good, it's crowded. We get out of the water, and as soon as we get out of the water, he whistles again and just throws shakas to everybody. You know, malos, you know, everything. And I just look at this guy and I'm like, dude, what a bizarre turn of events. This guy's a character. So this tops it off for me. So we just had an epic day of surfing. And there's this kid, Kalia, Hawaiian local kid. And every time I would paddle in to a wave, it was his job to drop in on me, you know, cut me off, make sure that I didn't get waves. And it was like that for the first year with this kid. Every time I paddled out, he was there. It didn't matter how bad it was or how good it was. He was always right next to me. It's like his job was to keep me from surfing. And, I mean, we fought. I told him a couple times, dude, you know, knock it off. I'm going to run right over your back with my stinking 8-inch fin, you know. And I got to the point where I was like, dude, you're not going to drop in on me again, you know. And I'd ride by and grab the nose of his board and push him off the wave, and he'd be like, bro, you're dead, Hallie, we see you on the beach, and like always, but he was just a kid. And So here I am, I'm getting cleaned up, I'm ready to go, and I'm all dried off, rinsed off with a jug of water that I always brought. And all of a sudden my buddy goes, no, no. He goes, come on, let's go. And he walks over to this house that's right on the parking lot, and this kid from Kalia is there, and he's hosing some stuff off. And he walks over and he hoses my friend off like a little servant guy, just hoses him off. And he goes, hey, thanks. He goes, hey, come on over here. And he waves at me. I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. He goes, no, come. He goes, come on, dude's gonna hose you off. Don't get in your car all salty and sandy. And I was like, all right. So I walk over, and here this kid won't look at me. He's just like this, and he hoses me off, rinses my board for me, makes sure I'm clean. I go, hey, bro, thank you. And as soon as I said thank you, he looked up and he goes, oh, Uncle, I'm sorry. I didn't know who you were. And I said, what do you mean you don't know who I am? I go, bro, we surf all the time together. You go, you've been cutting me off for a year. He goes, no, I apologize. He goes, I didn't know who you were. And I go, bro, I'm nobody. He goes, no, you're friends with Uncle. You're somebody. He goes, and I'm sorry I disrespected you. It won't happen again. From that day on, every time I went to Kalia, this kid would be there. And every time that kid would be like, hey, Uncle, how are you? Now, all of a sudden, I'm Uncle because of who I knew. And God had given me that favor to do that. And, you know, a lot of times when we go out to do something, we push ourselves into a situation, okay? When you're talking, or when I was talking to my friend with the abortion, like obviously that's a sensitive subject, and I hope I don't offend anybody by that, talking about it in general, but it's a sensitive subject. I could go into it religiously and be like, no, abortion's wrong, you're going to hell, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't help people understand why I feel that way, why I'm in a situation that I'm in, and how I built my relationship with God and found peace for some horrible stuff that I did. It's not compassionate, you guys. When we go out there and we're just like, hey, no, you know, you're wrong, God, and we're raging on people, those people a lot of times are hurting, you know, and they're bitter with people like us that are going out and being religious rather than us just being an example. And that's what I would encourage you to do, is go out in your daily walk and just be the best godly example you can. Let God deal with people's sin. Don't take it so personal, but let God deal with that sin, and let your life shine in their lives so that you can break through barriers. I broke through racial barriers being white with this guy. I broke through Christian and Hawaiian barriers that he was a traditional Hawaiian, and he didn't want to talk about that. He wanted to talk about the mana and how God had created the earth and you know, all these things. But he was more into the traditional Hawaiian, which was, you know, the idols and the gods and, you know, Pele and all these different things. And I respect that. Like, I respect what he was saying. But I was just sharing with him, well, this is what I believe, man. So you believe this. My belief's similar, but I believe in it this direction. And by sharing with him in a way, I would have the pleasure of seeing him come to the Lord a year later. And 2 months after he gives his life to the Lord, you guys, he died in a car accident, helping a kid that was on drugs, called him and needed a ride home. He was too high to drive. So he went and he picked this kid up, and he dropped the kid off at his house, Hawaiian kid that he was helping out. And on his way home, don't know if it was a heart attack or what, but he ended up in a ditch and was dead when they found him. And I look at that and I think, if I was the religious guy that was pushing what I believed on this guy, I may not have broke through for him. But because I broke through, because God allowed me to break through in this guy's life, I know 100% that I get to see him in heaven someday. Even after all the horrible things he did, he reconciled himself. He did his time by law. I can't judge him. He did his time. Okay? And I never knew the person that went to prison. I only knew the person that came out of prison. And our relationship was not the same as maybe somebody that knew him before he went in. So when people would be like, oh, you can't hang out with that guy, he's bad music. No, man, he doesn't treat me like that. He's different with me. And they didn't understand, but God allowed me to have that breakthrough. So I would encourage you guys, as you're going through your day, man, don't be so offended by the things going on in the world right now. I mean, there's a war in the Ukraine with Russia. There's COVID running around. A lot of people are mad at China because they released COVID and all these different things that are really unknown. But the bottom line is we need to be putting ourselves out there to be the remedy for all the bitterness and the hurts and the fear that's going on right now. We need to be the ones that can be a light in that darkness, not fall into it and not get bitter with people because they're not who we are. But we need to share that with people. We need to share why they need to change their lives. We need to share why our lives are different and why can they see. We need to put that out there and not be so dang judgmental, you know. And I hope this encourages you guys. I hope it blesses somebody today. You know, my book is full of these stories. God just keeps bringing people to me. And the next one is going to be another surfing story about paddling out in the lineup at Kailua and how long it took me to actually be able to surf without getting cut off. And it took almost a year for me to be able to go out there and find my place in the lineup and get accepted by the guys. So I'll share that with you on the next video. Have a great day. Subscribe, like, share this with your friends, please. If there's somebody that needs a little encouragement in their walk or encouragement in what God's doing for them or what he can do for them, I hope this all helps. All right.